CS1010X Lecture 14 Intro to Java. So we have finished the Python part of the course. Now we are talking about another language, Java. We are using this opportunity to understand a little bit more about object-oriented programming. Python does support some notions of object-oriented programming, but it is not strict and thus it can't really do much in practice to help in structuring programs. We look at Java as it is clean in syntax and it is platform independent as it is runs on top of a Java virtual machine. You just need to write it once, you will run everywhere. This is just one of the many books on Java programming. This one is here because I used this some years ago for an introductory course in SOC2. Before moving on to object-oriented programming stuff, in this lecture we focus on Java syntax, on getting some Java programs to run. At the end of this lecture, you will know how a Java program looks like. We will then talk about object-oriented programming with Java in the next lecture. First, we will say a few words on why learning another programming language should not be difficult to you now. They are all of the same computational thinking in short. Java in particular allows object-oriented programming and thus easier to manage your computational problem. We will see some syntax differences between Python and Java. We will then quickly look through the syntax of Java. Like Python, Java also has some useful classes that you have to know to work with Java. We just need to go through a few for this lecture. Remember, I keep repeating CS is equal to algorithm plus data structure. So in most cases, to solve a computational problem, you need to ask what are the data and what are the processes to manipulate the data. Different languages in our case means different syntax mostly. Anything you think that can be done with your familiar language should also be doable in the new language. You just need to Google the corresponding syntax for your unfamiliar language. It could be that one is shorter and the other is longer. Complexity-wise should generally be more or less the same. On the other hand, it could also mean different computational model. For that, we will leave it to other higher level courses on principle of programming languages. One good way to learn new things is to be observant on what differences are there in a new thing as compared to what you already know. A striking difference is that Java is a type language. Each variable needs to be declared before being used, and the type of variables is fixed during runtime. Whereas in Python, you know that you can simply type a variable names and use it without saying what it is, and the interpreter is supposed to figure out what it is in due course. And you could somehow use the variable for different purposes or for different types in Python, but not in the case for Java, which you have to explicitly allocate computer memory. Let's look at a specific example of Python versus Java on this calculations of exponent x raised to the power of n. If n equal to 0, return 1, else return x times, recursively calling exponent for x raised to the power of n minus 1. In Java, the function that you have must declare x to be a specific type of number, in this case a float, and n a specific data type which is an integer. Whereas in Python you see that x and n are just simply put there without any declaration of their types. In terms of the body, it is the same. If n equal to 0, return 1, else return recursively x times exponent of x raised to the power of n minus 1. Here we can see some further differences between Python and Java. For Python, we rely on the indentations to know that this is an if and this is the body of the if, else this is the body of the else. On the other hand, in Java, it does not really care about the indentation. The indentation is just for human being to read it at ease. Even though there are indentation here, but it is just meant to be neat in presentation. It has no meaning in Java. Instead, in Java, it relies on the curly brace to enclose the body. This pair of braces is to enclose the body of this function. Likewise, for other statements, you also need to use braces to enclose the body. But for here, this is only one single statement, so there's no need of braces. But here we do see that the else, there is a braces. This is just for illustration, though this is actually optional. Right? So this pair is actually redundant for the same reason, because there's only one statement inside this body. The next thing is that Java relies on semicolon to end a statement, and you have to observe this always. Here you see our function inside an IDE, and this IDE is called DrJava. There are many others that you can use. I'm familiar with DrJava, so I use it here. This function is actually inside a class called test exponent, and this function is being called from here a.exponent with 5.3, 4. That is, you want to find the fourth power of 5.3. So this is the function being called from here, and this is public static void main. This is the place where Java Virtual Machine will know where to start the execution of a program. Let's run through this program. The first statement is to declare a variable a, which is an object of this class, and you knew it to get the object a. Then the next statement is to system.out.println. This is a built-in package. You want to output a.exponent 5.3, 4. A.exponent is to invoke the method exponent of this object, which is this function. Let's compile it. Oops, we see that we get an error. The error is at the method exponent float, integer, in the type test exponent class. It's not applicable for the argument double, integer. So 5.3 is a double and 4 is an integer. So this 5.3 double doesn't match with the float x that causes the error. So we have to explicitly do a typecast of this 5.3, which is a double, into a float, and then we can compile again. And this time it's compilation completed with no error. Next, we can try to run this. By clicking on this run, we get the answer here under the interactions. Let's do a quick sum up for the difference between Java and Python. Java program must be compiled first before it can be executed. Java is a type language. There are quite a bit of restrictions imposed. You must declare the type before you can use it. Java relies on curly braces rather than indentation to enclose the body of the methods or the functions, and it terminates a statement with a semicolon. It has a class structure. You must use the object of the class to be able to use the method of the class. We didn't see this, but it's worth noting that integer divided by integer is an integer, unlike the case of Python where you get a fractional number. And Java has finite precisions. You can get underflow or overflow of numbers. In the case of Python, it can represent actually a very large number. As you learn and read, you will discover more. In the next video, we'll go into the proper introductions of Java.